HowExpert! HowExpert Top 10 Rhyming and Metered Poetry Tips and Lessons. HowExpert publishes how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more. Moving on, let's talk about the HowExpert Top 10 Rhyming and Metered Poetry Tips and Lessons. Number 1. Keep a notebook. It's a good idea to keep a writing notebook with you. Physical notebooks and digital files are both very useful. Keep a list of inspirations, ideas, and themes you would like to explore in your poetry. When you come across a great phrase or a witty line, jot it down, not to forget it. If you cannot carry the notebook with you, try writing it down somewhere, on a napkin or in your notes app, for example, and transfer the information to your notebook later. Over time, your notebook may grow into a treasure trove of ideas. Number 2. Stick to words you know. There's no shame in using a rhyming dictionary or a thesaurus to remind yourself of words that rhyme or have certain meanings. The key is to use only words you know. If the word is unfamiliar to you and you put it in a poem, what you say may differ from what you intend to say. It can be cringy and jarring to read words that do not quite fit among the surrounding text. Also, make sure that you consider the rhythm of the word in comparison to other words in your poem. While some words may rhyme well, they may throw off the rhythm of the passage. A mismatched rhythm can throw off an entire piece. Number 3. Put all reasonable choices in front of you. When writing rhyme or poetry in general, it's helpful to list all the possible ways to phrase something. List the possibilities so that they are visible and in front of you. If you do not see a word, you might overlook it. After listing the candidate phrases, you can then decrease their number by the process of elimination until you find a combination of words that fit together well. If you still cannot find a good combination, you might have to rephrase the surrounding text or change the structure of your poem. Number 4. Find your poem's core. It's easy to get lost in the many rhyme possibilities. Keep organized and summarize your poem's main point in a sentence or two. Go back to this when you may have gone off topic. This can strengthen your poem. However, note that going on tangents can sometimes lead to unexpected literary treasures. Also, some people may prefer to do discovery writing or write whatever comes to mind and explore the story that way. What starts as a phrase or line that throws one poem off track could potentially turn into the hook for a different poem. Number 5. Experiment. Play with different kinds of rhyme, such as slant rhyme, aka half rhyme, and internal rhyme. There are also other techniques, such as alliteration, repetition, metaphor, and simile. Passages that cannot charm you should be replaced with more effective wording. Even if your experimentation does not result in a poem you like, you will likely have learned something useful for your craft. There's no such thing as failed experimentation in poetry, as long as you use what you have learned or experienced to help you in your future endeavors. Keeping experimental poetry that does not charm you also provides a way for you to track your progress. You can also reuse these ideas in future pieces. Number 6. Read aloud. Read your poem aloud and pay attention to the sounds. Are any lines a mouthful to say or difficult to pronounce? For example, stars stopped might be hard for a reader to pronounce due to the consecutive S sounds that blur together. Other things to look out for include awkward phrasing and lack of rhythm. For example, perhaps your description of a beautiful day contradicts the poem's intended gloomy message. This is not to be mistaken for contrast. When used well, contrast can emphasize your point and give your reader much to consider. Number 7. Double check for typos and inconsistencies. It's a good habit to do a final check for typos and such before you publish your poem. It's good to check the meter as well. Read the poem from beginning to end and ask yourself if the rhyme makes you cringe. If you did not intend for there to be cringe, it's time to go back and do more editing. It can also help to read your poem line by line, emphasizing each syllable to see how well the meter works, regardless of regional dialects or accents. This action is called scansession. With any luck, people all over the world could read your work, so you want to be sure that it still holds its meter, rhyme, and meaning. Number 8. Read poetry. By reading the work of other poets, you can hone your craft and your ability to sense when a passage is ineffective for you. You can also figure out your taste in poetry. You can discover new techniques by reading a wide variety of poetry. You can also come across poetry that inspires you to write another poem. Reading other poets' work to hone your craft is one of the best things that you can do for your growth. Number 9, take a break. Come back to the poem later with fresh eyes. Sometimes reading something over and over again blinds you to typos as well as phrases that are ineffective in making your point. Don't be scared to put the poem aside for some time, and do not be afraid to return. Once you return, ask yourself if the poem makes you cringe, if areas confuse you, or if certain words read better differently. Number 10, ask for feedback. Get feedback from other people. Getting a second opinion can open your mind to new possibilities, and perhaps the other person will catch confusing parts that seemed clear when you wrote them down. If you're worried about others stealing your work, ask for feedback from those you trust. Regardless of whether it's helpful, thank the other person for taking the time to read and give feedback on your poem. Make sure that when you ask for feedback, you're in a mindset that is open to constructive critique. They are critiquing your poem, not you. While the reader may not see your overall vision for the piece, or it may simply not be their style, chances are high that there is still some helpful insight to take away. If you liked our video, be sure to click like and subscribe for more HowExpert Top 10 videos for all topics A to Z in the future. Also, let us know about topics you want us to do HowExpert Top 10 videos in the future in the comments below. Thank you, have an amazing day, and take care. HowExpert publishes quick how-to guides on all topics from A to Z by everyday experts. Visit HowExpert.com to learn more.